Hey guys, and welcome to the 5th episode of Elder Scrolls Online Saturday. Today we'll be covering all the creatures in Elder Scrolls Online, or all the new creatures in Elder Scrolls Online. Of course, we'll still have the Draugrs and things we've seen before, but I want to talk about the new creatures and new enemies that they're introducing in Elder Scrolls Online. So we're going to be talking about all of those. We're also going to be talking about some of the gameplay mechanics of the enemies, like the pack mentality stuff, synergies, and stuff like that. Then we're going to move into the questions of the week. We're going to do the developer question of the week, and we actually got 2 viewer questions this week, which was really awesome. So we're going to be answering all of those, and also just a little piece of news in case you guys didn't know. There is a massive beta invite going on right now and all of this weekend. From what I've heard, it's the biggest one yet, and it's just huge. So if you haven't already, check your email, and if you guys haven't been invited yet, just hang in there. I'm sure everyone will get in eventually. Also, if you check your email and you think you didn't get in, make sure that you check the promotional tab. I know at least if you have Gmail, that's usually where it'll be. Sometimes it's not, but sometimes it can get filtered in the promotional area, just because Elder Scrolls Online or ZeniMax is a company. So moving on, that's pretty much it for the introduction. Let's get into the information. So first, let's talk about the new mechanics of the enemies in Elder Scrolls Online. So first, what they've talked about the most is the pack mentality of animals. Or just creatures or any enemies. So if you hit one, the others are going to be alerted. A lot of MMOs, it's sort of like, Guild Wars had it. Lots of MMOs have it. Like when you hit one enemy and they come at you and then you kill that one, you can hit the next one. That's especially for ranged players. They can just sort of pick off enemies because the enemies won't all attack them. But in this game, if one enemy sees you, it's going to alert all the nearby enemies. So I like this a lot. I always find it weird in MMOs where you could hit one enemy that was sitting next to 20 others, draw them out, and then kill them, and then do the same one at a time. So I really like this new feature, but they've added a lot more to make the AI even smarter. So for example, there was this part in the QuakeCon gameplay where the spider was attacking the player, and the spider was losing health, so he retreated, and another spider cast this AoE power, and he buffed the other spider's armor, and then the other spider came back and attacked the player. So it shows how they heal each other, they give each other buffs. It's not just a cluster of enemies, they really are going to work together. Another great example is that enemies can use synergies. If you guys know what a synergy is, it's where one player uses another power and another player sort of improves the power. So let's say I threw down oil, another mage could cast fire on it, and then all of a sudden you have these huge flames instead of just oil on the ground or just flame balls being thrown. Now you have this huge fire that can hurt enemies way more. But your enemies are going to be able to do that too, not necessarily throwing down oil and casting fire and stuff, but they will be able to use synergies to make even more powerful attacks when they work together. So that's really cool, and it's going to create this awesome combat system where the enemies can almost do everything you can. So you're working together with players, but the enemies are also working together. So it's really cool, and I think it's one of the smartest AI systems that we've had in an MMO in a while. So now let's move on to all of the confirmed new creatures in the game. Like I said, they're not all new. Some of them are from Daggerfall, but that game was released in 1996, so I figured I'd go over some of the ones that people have probably forgotten about. So first we got the Daedra Titan. So the Daedra Titan are these huge, awesome-looking monsters, and they serve Morgul Ball. And they protect the dark anchors that Morgul Ball puts down that pulls Tamriel into his realm of Cold Harbor. And so these things are massive. They're they're just huge. And you can see pictures on the screen, again, of all the creatures I'm talking about, except for a couple that don't have pictures. But this thing is just gigantic, and a lot of the enemies are pretty huge, and it's something I really like about the enemies in Elder Scrolls Online. Now let's talk about the next enemy, and that is the Undead Werewolf, and this is so awesome. I am so excited to fight these things. You guys might think that you haven't seen these before, but they've actually popped up a lot in gameplay and in the cinematic PvP trailer. So again, you'll see clips on the screen of those, and these are just so awesome. What could be cooler than an undead werewolf? Werewolves are cool on their own, and undead things are cool on their own, and you combine them together, they just make these awesome things. So The undead werewolf, though, is going to play a big part in this one quest, where this undead werewolf, Felucci, he's taking over this town in High Rock, and him and his undead army of werewolves have taken the town out, so you have to clear them out, and that town is Camlorn in High Rock. And Felucci actually has a pretty big backstory. He was actually killed in the Battle of Glenabra Moors, and so he's sort of been resurrected, and now he's not just a werewolf, he's an undead werewolf. So we'll be fighting these things a lot, especially if you're part of the Daggerfall Covenant. So everyone will get a chance to get there, obviously, because once you finish the content in your area, you can move on to the next area, even though you're not part of that alliance. But, so we all should get to see them, but the Daggerfall people should get to see them first. And these things just sound so awesome, and again, I can't wait to fight these things. So next we have the Bone Colossus, and this thing is huge, and it's just like this huge giant thing that's just made out of bone, and it looks pretty cool. This creature we don't know a lot about, so I'm just going to move on to the next one. Next we have the Harvester, and this thing is like a four-armed snake-like thing. It's actually a Daedra. It's one of the new Daedra they added in this game. It just looks really cool. It's one of the creatures probably a lot of people haven't heard about, but we have seen some clips of it in the gameplay, and those are on the screen right now. So next is another creature that I'm really excited about, and that is the Blood Fiends. So Blood Fiends, they're feral vampiric creatures, and this is so awesome. This is kind of the same concept of the undead werewolf, you know, taking something that's already awesome like a vampire, and just making like a feral vampire that is just like super awesome. So the feral vampires, or the Blood Fiends, are going to be found in Rivensphere and High Rock, and these things just look so awesome. They have like blood pouring from their eyes, really gory and just really awesome. Moving on, we have the Lurcher. We don't know really anything about that, so I'm just going to sort of breeze over that. Next, we have the Harpies, and we saw this in the trailer that came out in E3. These things, they're really cool. They're like bird-like humanoid creatures, and they can be found in the Alik'r Desert in ESO. These things are really awesome. You'll see the clip of it on the screen, or the screenshots. But they look really awesome, and we actually did see this in Daggerfall, but I thought I'd show you guys again since a lot of people probably haven't played Daggerfall. But I mean, I'll put a picture of it from Daggerfall. I mean, you can't even really tell they're the same creature, but they do look really awesome. Next, we have the Dune Ripper, and these are they're venomous predators that are native to the Alik'r Desert, and these are pretty cool. We have just one little picture of these, but from the name, I assume that maybe they go underground. The Dune Ripper. That's not confirmed. That's just speculation, but I would suspect they do that. Next, we have the Strangler, and these are carnivorous plants that are native to Valenwood. These things look pretty awesome. They kind of remind me of the carnivorous plants from The Witcher. But they're really awesome, and I'm guessing they'll have ranged attacks since obviously they can't move, but definitely cool. Next, we have a creature that's been confirmed for the game, but we don't actually know if we'll be able to fight it, and that's the Sea Serpent. So these can be found in Careless Roost, which is the starter island for the Altmere Dominion, and the Sea Elves actually can control these, and this is going to have a big part of the storyline because the Sea Elves are trying to stop the Altmere Dominion trade ships from going to Elsewhere, and so they're using these Sea Serpents to attack the trading ships that are going into Elsewhere. So, not only can they control these, they can actually use them as mounts, which is really awesome. So I really hope we get to fight these things. Just a little cool thing is that there's actually a skeleton of a huge sea serpent in the desert in the Elder Scrolls Redguard, which is really cool. So that's just a little cool thing. So hopefully we will get to fight these. I don't know if we actually will, but we'll just have to see when the game is released. So next we have the Giant Scorpion, and these are venomous predators that are native to Alik'r Desert, and that's pretty much all we have for those. I think those are going to be pretty basic enemies in the Alik'r Desert that are going to be spread around a lot. So next we have the Horvor, and they're like these insects that are native to Valenwood, and they're infamous for pinning down their targets and biting them in the chest, but they, I don't know if they're actually going to be able to do that in the game, just because I don't know if enemies are going to actually be able to pin you down in the game. But if they could, that'd be pretty awesome. And they're also infamous for killing sleeping drunks in Valenwood. So moving on, we have the Giant Snake, and we don't know really anything about that other than that it's native to High Rock. Other than that, there will be frogs in the game. I know you guys are really excited about that, but just another new creature that we have. Next we have the Nereids, which are woodland creatures that are native to Valenwood. Again, we don't know anything about those, and we don't even have a picture of those, so that's really all we know. So that's pretty much all the new creatures in Elder Scrolls Online. There are going to be a lot more creatures. I don't want you guys to think that like these are the only creatures in the game, but these are just the new ones. We'll see a lot of returning ones, you know, things you saw in Skyrim, like the giants, mammoths, draugrs. You know, we'll just see everything. I mean, if it was in a past test game, it's most likely going to be Elder Scrolls Online. So that's pretty much exciting. So if you guys want to see the full list of enemies on Elder Scrolls Online, there will be a link in the description to that. So I just wanted to say that my favorite animal is the Netch. I think the Netch is awesome. If you guys don't know what the Netch is, there's a picture on the screen, but it's basically the thing that looks like a giant jellyfish. It's pretty awesome, and they're actually not hostile at all. They're just beautiful, friendly creatures, so I really like those. And in terms of the enemies that I'm most looking forward to, I'm really excited about the undead werewolf, because that thing is just so awesome, and I'm sure you guys can tell that I'm really pumped for that. So that does it for all the new enemies in Elder Scrolls Online, so let's move on to the questions of the week.
Hi, I'm Scott Nixon, lead content designer for the Elder Scrolls Online, and here's your question of the week. In the Elder Scrolls Online, you're able to customize your character, from the abilities you choose to the way they look. We know lots of you also like making up personal backstories for your character. So what's your first character's backstory going to be?
So I really like this developer question of the week. It's actually one of my favorites, and it actually has a really long answer. I actually did a video on my guild, and in that I went over a lot of the background of my character. But so my character is born in a rich family in Riften, and he finds out when he's 12 that his parents are funding bandit activity in the Rift. So he ends up confronting his parents and kills his whole family, and from then after that he flees to Morrowind. So in Morrowind he starts working as an assassin for hire, and he does that until he's about 20, and then he moves back to Skyrim, and then he's in Whiterun one day and he meets the leader of the Bearborn clan, and he starts doing jobs for him, and eventually he starts his own sect of the Bearborn clan, which is the Brotherhood of the Void. So if you guys want to know more about the guild and stuff, you can watch my video. The link will be in the description. But just for that, that's a really brief background of my character. If you guys have made a background for your character, I would love to hear about them. I really love role-playing, so hearing about other characters that people have made is really awesome. And if you do want to join my guild, the website and forums will be up probably by the end of this weekend. That's what I'm hoping. So if you're interested, just message me, and let's move on to some player questions. So John Paul Boyle asks, with the character progression video that came out a while ago, do you think Elder Scrolls Online will have more content for your character or fall short compared to other Elder Scrolls games? Thank you for answering my question. So, first off, thanks for sending in the question. And I actually think that Elder Scrolls Online is definitely going to have more content for your character. Now remember, you can make more than one character, so you'll be able to play things differently, maybe play for different lines. But I'm just going to talk about in terms of having one character. So, because it's an MMO, it's going to have a lot more content. I mean, if you think about how long Skyrim and just Elder Scrolls and games in general take a really long time to make, but they've been working on Elder Scrolls Online like full development for 5 years, and this game is it's massive. I think for all just the quest lines in every area, if you were to play Ebonheart Pact, the Daggerfall Covenant area, and the All-Merry Dominion area, it would add up to like 600 hours, and that's crazy. I played Skyrim for I think like 300 hours, maybe a little less than that, and I completely finished every quest. I didn't do some quest lines and quests just for role-playing reasons that my character wouldn't do, but I pretty much did every quest, and that's not just doing quests. I also explored the world. I think I found almost every marked location on the map, and that felt like a really long game to me, and I felt like I really squeezed the game dry with content. But I mean, Elder Scrolls Online, 600 hours, that's crazy. And that's not even to mention how many hours you'll be playing PvP or just like exploring the world. So, Elder Scrolls Online, I can see that like this game is gonna be a game that will have content for you for like, I don't know, maybe even a couple years. And that's not to mention that you're gonna be paying a subscription fee, and they've already said that they have 5 years of like additional content planned for monthly releases. So if you add all of the hours up, I can't even like think about it, but that's just gonna be, I wouldn't be surprised if that like overall it's like more than 1,000 hours, and that's just so awesome. And so yeah, the answer is that Elder Scrolls Online is gonna have way more content. In terms of like leveling up your character and your character personally, I think Elder Scrolls Online is still gonna have more content, just because it doesn't have more skill lines than the other Elder Scrolls games. In fact, Skyrim probably had more, because like we're not going to have some skill lines that we used to have, like lock picking or pickpocketing, at least not at launch. So in terms of character progression, I think Elder Scrolls will probably still have more, just because I think that you're going to be able to just keep leveling, and it's going to get to a point where you can completely master every skill line. So I think if you're the kind of person who likes to progress with one character and completely max them out, Elder Scrolls Online is going to be the game for you. That's going to have way more content. Because in Elder Scrolls Online, you could get in Skyrim, you could get every skill to 100, but you couldn't get all the perks, and you couldn't get every skill in every skill line. But with Elder Scrolls Online, you are going to be able to do that. So I really think if you're the guy who likes to just completely max out one character and just make them like the only character you ever use, Elder Scrolls Online is going to have way more content for you. Our next question comes from a viewer, Sage McNamara, and he asks, I have a quick question about faction zones. So if I'm an orc of the Daggerfall Covenant and I want to visit Morrowind, do I have to complete my faction's quest first? So this is a good question, and something they actually haven't mentioned, other than the fact that they've mentioned you have to complete all the content in your alliance's area to be able to move to the next alliance's area. And then from there you get to pick the next alliance you want to go to. It's not like once you finish your alliance's area, you can just go wherever you want. You have to pick one alliance to move to next. So in terms of having to finish all the content in your area, I'm pretty sure this doesn't mean you have to do every quest. At least for me, from role-playing purposes, at least in Skyrim, there were quests that I didn't do because my character, just like based on his beliefs and his morals, he wouldn't do those quests. Like, I have done the Dark Brotherhood, but I made a separate character to do the Dark Brotherhood quest line. But my original character just wanted to do the Dark Brotherhood, so I didn't do that quest line with him. So I really hope that they don't make you do every quest in the area, and I completely doubt they will, just because of how many quests will be in the game. It'll be really hard to, complete every single quest in one area. My guess is it's just gonna be like you have to complete most of the content in that area. Maybe you have to get to a certain level before you move on. But I really do doubt that you have to finish every quest. But if in terms of when you want to be able to move to Morrowind and do the quest there, you're not going to be able to do that until you pretty significantly move through the Daggerfall Covenant area. So if you are looking to go to Morrowind, I would either play the quest as quickly as you can, and that would still, my guess, take like 100 hours, maybe even more, or just be in the Ebonheart Pact. So that's pretty much it for the viewer questions. So thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully next week we'll have more information to talk about. There was really nothing released this week, and I'm sure that's just because people are playing the beta instead of reading news about the game. Hopefully you guys got into the beta, and hopefully you're really enjoying it this weekend. So yeah, have a great time, guys, and I will see you in the next one.